Hi, my name is Josh. You can find me on Twitter at FYFJosh, and today I am tiering the top 28 quarterbacks for the rest of the season. Also, if you like what you see here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can check out all the great content that Front Yard Fantasy is putting out there. So, we have 5 tiers that the top 28 quarterbacks will fall into. Just to give you an explanation of each tier, we have the elites. These are quarterbacks that have elite production almost every week. They have safe floors and very high ceilings. And you feel confident that they provide you an advantage over other rosters. The second tier is the must starts. These quarterbacks are in your fantasy lineups every week, and they are difference makers at the position. The third tier is the great starts. These guys are lower end quarterback ones, players that are started pretty much every week in fantasy, but maybe not quite as consistent. The fourth tier is the solid starts. These are quarterbacks that you can throw into your lineup every week. They are weekly starters for a lot of fantasy teams out there, but they also have some question marks. The fifth tier is the high upside quarterbacks. These are quarterbacks that have immense upside and could make their way into the great start tier if everything goes well, but they're not even solid starts quite yet. And the sixth and final tier is the streamers. These are quarterbacks that do not need to be on your fantasy team, but you can pick them up off the waiver wire and feel okay about it in a good matchup. So, without further ado, let's just get right into these tiers, and we are starting out with the elite tier. And the first person I am going to put into the elite tier is Josh Allen. He is linked to this high-powered Bills offense. He's got great weapons. This offense is running smoothly. He is absolutely an elite tier quarterback. Start him every week and feel great about it. The second quarterback we're going to put into the elite tier is Lamar Jackson. Yes, he belongs in this elite tier because he has an elite running ability at the quarterback position. No quarterback runs quite as much or quite as well as Lamar Jackson does, and he's been passing so much this season. Lamar Jackson's absolutely in the elite tier. And there's actually only going to be one other quarterback that I put into the elite tier, and it's going to be old Tom Brady. Tom Brady belongs in the elite tier. He has the highest points per game out of all quarterbacks so far this season. Actually, in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Tom Brady are all above 24 points per game, and no other quarterback is even close. So these guys really do separate themselves and are great quarterback options every week. They are must starts, elite options. They really separate themselves. So moving on to the next tier, we will get into the must starts. And the first quarterback I am going to put in the must start tier is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray belongs in the must start tier. He's been dealing with an ankle injury. He didn't play this last week, but when he plays, he is electric. He can throw the ball very, very well. He has so many weapons, and he's a really good runner. Kyler Murray's a must start quarterback. The second quarterback I'm going to put into the must-start tier is Matthew Stafford just joined the Rams this season, and he has looked great. He has looked so good. He has this amazing connection with Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods is getting more and more involved. Van Jefferson looks great. This whole offense is humming. Matt Stafford is a must-start quarterback. The next quarterback we're going to put in the must-start tier is Patrick Mahomes. And some people are probably pretty disappointed with Patrick Mahomes' production so far this season. You might have put him in a tier all by himself coming into this season. Maybe he was an elite quarterback just there by himself. You could draft him ahead of everyone else, and he hasn't quite played like that so far. However, he's still a must-start. I'm still putting him in my lineup every week. After Patrick Mahomes, we are going to put Dak Prescott into the must-start tier. Dak Prescott, again, high-powered offenses. I mean, all of these quarterbacks have high-powered offense, and they're part of the reason why it's so high-powered. Dak Prescott can run when he needs to, and he's got great weapons to throw it to. Dak Prescott's a must-start quarterback. After Dak Prescott, we have Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert definitely belongs in the must-start tier. Maybe he didn't come into the season as a must-start quarterback, but he absolutely is at this point. He's got great weapons with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I love Justin Herbert's rest of the season. After Justin Herbert, we have one more quarterback that's going to fall into the must-start tier, and it is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was probably my toughest guy putting into a tier for making this list. somewhere between must start and great start. But his production so far this season has been outstanding, scoring 22.1 points per game. His rushing floor is fantastic. Yes, he might make you nervous when you watch his games. He's going to score a lot of points in the fourth quarter a lot of the times. But again, his running ability puts him in this must start category. So that's going to wrap up the must starts, and we're going to move on to the great start tier. And to start off the great start tier, we are going to put in Mr. Russell Wilson. Mr. Russell Wilson did break a finger a few weeks ago, and he's coming back. The doctors did not expect him back quite this quickly, but he's going to be playing in week 10, and he's a great start. He's a great start. I want him in my lineup over most quarterbacks out there. Russell Wilson paired with DK Metcalf, paired with Tyler Lockett. He's really going to create a lot more offense for the Seahawks going forward. After Russell Wilson, for the great start tier, we are going to put in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been impressive this season. And again, there's a theme here with all these starts so far. He has great weapons. Jamar Chase, rookie, turning it on. T. Higgins is a great option as well. Joe Burrow is a great start going forward. After Joe Burrow, we're going to put in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he just had the COVID scare. I'm hoping he plays this upcoming week 10. I do expect him to play. And when he is out there and playing, he is a elite talent at the quarterback position. Now, he doesn't run as much as some of these other guys, but he is a great start. He's got Devontae Adams, and going forward, he's going to be a great start quarterback. And there's going to be one more quarterback that falls into the great start category. And again, this guy was kind of borderline. I was trying to decide if he belongs in the great starts or solid starts, but he is scoring 19.9 points per game. That's ahead of Aaron Rodgers. That's ahead of Joe Burrow. That's ahead of Russell Wilson. Kirk Cousins belongs in the great start tier. He has awesome weapons like the rest of these guys that throw it to, with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. He doesn't run really, but I like Kirk Cousins. He's a great start. And that's going to wrap up the great start tier. Let's move on to the solid starts. And the first person we're going to put in the solid start tier is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has been impressive, especially lately. A lot of people were kind of out on him after seeing him play for the Eagles the last few years, but Carson Wentz is absolutely having a bounce back season, and he's got solid weapons. I mean, Michael Pittman is having a breakout season himself. So Carson Wentz, not a great start, but a solid start for sure. After Carson Wentz, we are going to put in Derek Carr. Derek Carr has been lighting it up. Yeah, sure, he's lost some weapons, but Darren Waller is still an elite talent at the tight end position. I like Derek Carr the rest of the season. He's a solid start. After Derek Carr, we have Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is going to go into the solid start category. He's been somewhat disappointing so far this season, but again, Derrick Henry is going to miss the majority of the remainder of this year, and this offense is going to need to pass more, and that's going to fall onto the shoulders of Ryan Tannehill. Again, he's got A.J. Brown and Julio Jones to throw it to, so I think Ryan Tannehill is absolutely a solid start. After Ryan Tannehill, we're going to put Matt Ryan. Yeah, you might be concerned because he doesn't have Calvin Ridley, but just look at his stats. He's putting up the numbers, definitely enough to be a solid start going forward. And after Matt Ryan, this one might surprise some people, but it's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. And I love what I've seen out of him, especially from a fantasy perspective. He can run the ball. He's got good weapons to throw it to. As long as Tua is healthy, I think he's a solid start at the quarterback position. And after that, we are going to move on to our high upside tier. This high upside tier, these are quarterbacks that you don't really want to start right now at this moment, but if everything goes right for them, these quarterbacks could easily make their way up into the great start tier. And you might see a theme with these quarterbacks. And I'll get into that in just a minute. But the first quarterback I want to put in the high upside tier is Justin Fields. Justin Fields, he's been disappointing the majority of the season, but he's just had his two best games of the season the last 2 weeks. He is a fantastic runner at the quarterback position. If this Bears offense can figure it out, Justin Fields absolutely could move up tiers here, but I'm a little bit nervous with him at this point, but he has so much upside. After Justin Fields, we are going to put Taysom Hill into the high upside tier. Again, if the Saints just announce him as the quarterback, his rushing floor just sends him up these tiers. He would be at least a solid start if the Saints were to decide to start him at the quarterback position, and I see upside for great start with Taysom Hill. I really like Taysom Hill. Pick him up if you want to take a shot that he does become the starter for the Saints. I think there's a high likelihood. And the third and final quarterback I'm going to put in the high upside tier is Trey Lance. So I said there was a theme with this tier, and it's rushing. All these quarterbacks are phenomenal rushing quarterbacks. They run the ball very well, and that really sets you apart in fantasy, especially at the quarterback position. So if everything can just go right for these quarterbacks, they can absolutely move up these tiers very easily. Maybe it's worth an ad on your bench to keep these guys on just in case things break right for them. So that's the high upside plays. We are going to move on to the streamers tier. These are quarterbacks that you really don't love starting, but you can in a good matchup. And the first quarterback we're going to put into the streamer tier is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was the closest quarterback out of these that almost came into the solid starts. But again, he's too inconsistent. I do not trust this offense. However, possibly if the Giants can figure everything out and get their guys healthy, Daniel Jones is going to have a lot more upside. But right now, he is just a streamer for me. After Daniel Jones, we are going to go with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater has had a fine season. He has good weapons, but again, he's inconsistent, and I don't necessarily have a lot of trust in this offense. They absolutely want to run the ball to win games. Teddy Bridgewater is a streamer. And after Teddy Bridgewater, we're going to put in Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has had a pretty disappointing season with all the hype he had coming in. This Jaguars offense has been disappointing. The offense is just very lackluster, and there's really nothing to get you inspired to want to start Trevor Lawrence, but he's been fine, and he's a weekly streamer in a good matchup. After Trevor Lawrence, we're going to put in Mac Jones, and Mac Jones has probably had a more impressive season so far than Trevor Lawrence. Maybe it's because we didn't have as high expectations, but I have been impressed with Mac Jones. The Patriots offense, again, they want to run the ball as well to win games, but Mac Jones, he's a fine streamer. He's a safe play, not a lot of upside, but he's fine in a good matchup. After Mac Jones, we're going to put in Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has had injury concerns throughout the year, but we have seen in the past, he can move up tiers if he can put it all together. Maybe once he gets past the shoulder injury, you can feel more comfortable putting him into your starting lineup. But right now, he's a streamer and a good matchup. After Baker Mayfield, we're going to put Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, I like him because he does have a little bit of a rushing floor, but I do not like him because he's in the Texans offense. Tyrod Taylor will be a boom or bust option going forward. The rest of the season, in my mind, he's a good streaming option. And after Tyrod Taylor, finally, the last quarterback we're going to put into a tier is Taylor Heinicke, Washington football team's quarterback. Taylor Heinicke, again, he's got Terry McLaurin to throw it to, but he's been very inconsistent throughout the season. He does run a little bit himself, so I do like Taylor Heinicke in a good matchup. These are the quarterback tiers for the rest of the season. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to Front Yard Fantasy on YouTube, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day.